Welcome to our 5 on 5. Please welcome back John Watt. He is the president and CEO of JWA Public Affairs. Good to see you, sir. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Craig. Nice to see you.
You too. So we're going to talk about everything that we've seen in the legislature in recent months. Very exciting time.
Yes.
You've been involved in Salem for roughly 30 years in your own time in the House, as well as lobbying, consulting. Have you ever seen a session quite like this one?
Boy, Craig, I never have. Never would have thought it would be imaginable. And the reason for that being there's just a lot of animosity, it seemed, between the two parties. I think that having a supermajority in both houses and the same party having a governor made it very, very difficult for Republicans to feel like they were going to be listened to, that they were going to be heard. And quite honestly, to some effect, they brought a lot of the issues on themselves, representing their constituencies. I think we've come to the realization, we've talked about it before in the political world, the rural-urban split, and this was a very real indication of that. So, no, this was unprecedented.
Yeah, the rural-urban split isn't necessarily new, but obviously the players, if you will, are always changing. Have you ever seen it this contentious before? Not
at all, not at all. The legislature is a collaborative process, and tempers boiled over a little bit, both in committees as well as you saw on the floors of the House and the Senate.
Were you over there when there was a walkout?
As a legislator?
Yeah, right.
Not a walkout per se, but there's you have a call of the House or a call of the Senate, and where legislators are required by law to attend. They have to be there. And if they're on the premises and not excused, I mean, you can be excused, certainly, just like taking a note to mom and say, okay, you can be excused today. You wouldn't have to attend the call. But if you're there and working, you have to attend the call. So for political reasons, sometimes it takes a while for somebody to show up. I've never seen a walkout to the extent that happened on the Senate side for such a long period of time, no.
Okay, well, we got a lot to talk about, including things that have passed and become law, as well as other things that certainly questions left unanswered. We'll be right back after this quick break. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, we're here with John Watt, the president and CEO of JWA Public Affairs. 30 years roughly in Salem between your time in the House as well as now lobbying consulting. I'm curious, how do you see cap and trade ending? It doesn't sound like this thing's over.
Cap and trade will not end. The issue will continue until there's some sort of resolution. And because of what's going on with the climate, it's always going to be evolving. For the law itself, President Peter Courtney says he's going to take it up at the short session that comes up in March in the legislature, or February, excuse me. Mm-hmm. And so it'll come back up sooner rather than later.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What new laws do you think will have the most impact, perhaps, on the average Oregonian?
Well, no doubt, in my mind, it's going to be paid family medical leave. That will create an insurance plan for all Oregon employees and employers. If an employer has one or more employees, people will be eligible to pay into a paid family leave plan. A real benefit to workers who see a new member of the family coming, whether it's a birth or an adoption or a foster child, or serious illness of a family member, which is pretty loosely defined, and that'll be a good thing. For employers, however, it will create some very real challenges, most notably for replacement workers. So if an employer has a limited amount of workers or has someone in a management position or something like that, you know, it's going to be hard to replace those workers and then have the employee come back. Their job will be secure while they're out and while they're gone, and with up to 12 weeks of paid family medical leave or serious illness leave, that adds up to quite a bit for an employer to burden. So how will that manifest itself? Most likely, much like cap and trade and raising taxes, those additional costs will be passed along to the consumer. So everybody's going to be impacted by that.
Okay, well, we're running short on time, so I want to try and do this one quick. What was the, controversy aside, what was the biggest surprise to you of the session?
Well, the biggest surprise is that they got done, I think. Because
they had a lot to do with the end.
We thought that, it might be never ending if certain people weren't coming back to work. The biggest surprise was the way that the ruling party really pushed things through that will have, in some cases, a deleterious impact on the state of Oregon and everybody who lives there. There was a lot. There was gross receipts tax, paid family medical leave. Cap and trade, of course, didn't pass, but it will come back up. It seemed like to those of us who were looking on, it was one thing after the other, and not everyone agreed. We'll see how things play out in the future.
All right, good to see you. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Craig.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back.